Hey, what's up guys, Rep here. So today we're going to be talking about a series of controversies involving the VTubing convention OffKai Expo 2024. This is a California-based event that is set to launch later this month. Now, only a few weeks ago, a lot of people, including myself, were praising OffKai for coming to a mutual decision, a mutual agreement with Niji-Sanji that had those Niji-Sanji Ian members who were supposed to attend OffKai this year removed because both parties believed that their presence at this convention would not be conducive to a positive convention experience. However, we have seen another party removed from OffKai Expo this year, and that is the content creator Kirsche. Now, this was not a mutual decision. Rather, she was someone who was set to appear at a panel for this year and was removed recently because of some absolutely ridiculous reasons. These reasons include volunteers who are putting pressure on the convention because they felt uncomfortable about tweets that Kirsche had made about pronouns and her criticism of DEI initiatives. Yes, that is why we are now blacklisting someone as a guest from a convention. And this is absolutely ridiculous because if you did any research into who Kirsche is, it wouldn't be surprising because she is a very vocal critic of all things woke culture. So her tweets about these things and her videos about these topics that offended these volunteers should not have come as a surprise, and seems like they have a very bad issue with their screening of their guests at the very minimum. Now, I have already reviewed this situation, and I was someone, and my wife was someone, who were supposed to be featured guests through a third party at OffKai Expo this year. And giving an update from these tweets I made yesterday, we will not be attending OffKai this year. We've already made the decision that what we're seeing with Kirsche is concerning enough that I don't want to be a part of it. Me and my wife, we don't want to be a part of something like this where people are being blacklisted because volunteers are getting offended by jokes. So we've already made our decision on that because we feel that strongly about this issue. Now, everything I'm going to cover in the coming minutes will come from Kirsche's latest stream on Twitch going over this situation, and also DMs and screenshots that she shared with me privately that I have the go-ahead to share with you guys for this video. So everything began with this DM from Kirsche here saying, "Hey there, OffKai Expo peoples. I was slated to be on a panel for the upcoming OffKai. However, I just received notice today that I would be apparently too risky to have on the said panel by the OffKai organizers, and I'm curious what the issue is." And the official OffKai Expo account replies saying, "Hey Kirsche, sorry for the back and forth. We usually ask to approve any co-panelists ahead of time, but this case fell through the cracks. We hope you understand that given the current tumultuous state of VTubing, we would like to avoid collaboration with somewhat polarizing creators such as yourself." Now, of course, polarizing creators, if she is polarizing, someone like me is obviously polarizing, and a lot of other people at the convention are polarizing in the eyes of some people out there. So it's very, very odd that Kirsche is being singled out right from the get-go. And also it seems like it's already on the fault of OffKai, who admits right here that the screening wasn't proper and that someone who is so controversial apparently slipped through the cracks. Now, she would respond saying, "I actually do not understand as I personally have no issues getting sponsors, short or long term, with both products and games. I do not promote hateful rhetoric, and I am genuinely surprised that I would be blacklisted from your convention. It feels more like a single person who dislikes me has poisoned the well. You guys have hosted VTubers who have participated in harassment campaigns, which leaves me even more confused as to what part of my content would be a problem." There's definitely some truth to this that we will look at later in this video, but mentioning her sponsors here, much like Kirsche, I have had endless people go after my sponsors or events that I'm participating in, and I have never once been thrown under the bus like this. In other cases where people are trying to get people like me or Kirsche removed from sponsors or events, we are backed up. That's the thing. They back you up as a sponsor. They don't just drop you because you made someone uncomfy with one of your jokes about pronouns or something like that. And honestly, with my experience, I tend to find that these sponsors respect you even more when they see so many people complaining about you, and they're there to have your back. But the OffKai Expo account would reply saying this, I can assure you that no single person would have the ability to make such a call, and that this is also not a sponsor-related issue. Please understand that we are an all-volunteer-run event, and your name coming up made a number of our staff uncomfortable. We value our team a lot and do not want to cause issues this close to the convention. That is why the executive team decided against having you participate in the panel. This is not a blacklisting. You are still free to attend or participate in other ways. I'm sorry, but this is the amount of information I'm able to share. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a blacklisting. You can't come as a panelist or a featured guest, but you can still give us money and attend the event yourself and be just a regular attendee. That's ridiculous. That is a blacklisting as a panelist. And now you're only giving the option to basically give OffKai money and go there as a regular attendee. But anyways, also this whole thing about, giving into the demands of these volunteers to not upset them, to not cause further issue. Boy howdy, is this causing further issue by blacklisting someone like Kirsche as a guest. This is going to cause so much more of a headache than simply telling your volunteers to suck it up or basically kick rocks and go somewhere else or work with a different panel at this convention. But going forward, Kirsche would respond saying, I think if people are accusing me of making them uncomfortable, I have the right to know what I have said or done to cause that, especially if it is affecting my ability to participate in panels and having an effect on my friends as well. And again, you have platform VTubers who are actively participating in harassment campaigns in the past, something I have never done. So I do not understand what the issue is with my presence. Also, you say this isn't blacklisting is disingenuous. You are telling me I am not allowed to participate in panels, which is blacklisting. I haven't heard back from you guys today, and this is after a day of no response. And I would like to be able to rectify this privately if possible. However, if left no other option, I will be speaking about this publicly. Where then we would get a response here saying, hello, this is Lysander. I am the director of this year's OffKai. And if you're open to it, I'd like to talk about this more in depth. And then he was able to give Kirsche their Discord DMs, and that's where they would exchange the further conversations. So here you can see Lysander saying, I'm really sorry for interrupting you on a vacation like this. I guess I'll start with the what about X party situation. If you're referring to who I think you are, yes, they were a part of our event last year, but that was before everything went down. We chose this year to not continue to work with them. We aren't all know of each group or person we work with and try to do some basic screening, but sometimes things just don't get found. And I'm pretty sure I know who they are talking about in this section of the DMs. And of course, yeah, good on them for not inviting this person back from last year, but that doesn't really change what's going on here with Kirsche. So Lysander would continue on saying, our organization is made up of all volunteers from pretty much every background you can think of. No one is getting paid, so a lot of the difficulties of managing 100 plus people is making sure our team feels comfortable giving up their free time to help us. We have members on the staff who are fans of you and your work, and other members who are not. I think it is fair to say you are a bit controversial with a lot of your takes, especially for a staff largely based in California. Well, you know what? Props again to this director here for acknowledging that a lot of these issues have to do with the fact that this event is based in California, and likely a lot of the volunteers are from California as well, where making fun of pronouns and things like that would greatly offend people like that. Same with criticizing DEI initiatives that are very well supported by people in California. And also, this part right here about some people like you, some people don't at this convention in terms of the volunteers, that's life. There's always going to be people featured at a convention who some of the volunteers are going to like and some aren't. But you can't give in and say, well, some people don't like you, so basically you have to leave. That's absolutely ridiculous. But down here, Lysander would say, we did get a list of screenshots of things that made staff uncomfortable if you do wish to see some of them. They are mostly tweets that you've made in the past. And of course, Kirsche would ask for some of the proof of these screenshots and say, hey, what exactly is going on here? And also, we have seen comments here from Kirsche saying, she's not super familiar with how cons run. She has only done a meet and greet at WeebCon, and she's setting something up with YumaCon in the future. But the people who would be uncomfortable with me, could they simply just not work on the specific panel I was set to be on? Which, of course, is, the easiest solution. If you have over 100 volunteers and you have this one panel with Kirsche, just move them to another panel. Like, she's not a criminal or a dangerous person. They just don't like some joke she made on Twitter. Just move them to another part of the convention. But of course, Lysander would provide all of these screenshots that the volunteers provided as evidence that she was too controversial to be at this convention. And you can see, even the way Lysander describes them, a lot of them come down to gender identity in DEI type issues. And if you don't know what DEI is, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'll let her go over this quickly. This was featured in this clip right here during her stream, and she will talk about some of these screenshots and exactly what was going on here.
We did get a list of screenshots of things that made staff uncomfortable. If you do wish to see some of them, they are mostly tweets that you've made in the past. Oh, don't worry, chat. They are freaking amusing.
A few minutes later.
And I said, you say mostly tweets. I'm interested in what was given as reasoning beside the tweet. And he responded, a lot of them come down to gender identity and diversity, equity, and inclusion type issues.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
And it shows 7 screenshots here. I'll bring those up. There's 7 screenshots that I was given.
And here are the screenshots in question. This is all of the screenshots provided by the volunteers as proof that she was too controversial for this event. And she is fully transparent about this. She shared this on Twitter, and she shared all this evidence with me on Discord. There is nothing here that warrants any sort of an extreme reaction or that would make someone extremely uncomfortable or feel unsafe to the point where Kirsche should be blacklisted as a guest from OffKai. Let's look at some of these tweets that were provided as evidence of her wrongdoing. Okay, so here's one saying, after its last strange decision to get rid of everyone's discriminator, Discord seems to be rolling out a pronoun feature for your bio, where she used the pronoun Burger Queen as a joke. This is evidence that she is too controversial to be a guest at OffKai. And also, you will notice right here, the word pronoun is in bold. The reason this is happening because when the person was getting these screenshots, the volunteers, they were keyword searching pronoun on her account to find these tweets in the first place. They were searching out these tweets to be offended by them and then to complain about them. They were looking to be offended. That should tell you about the disingenuous nature of these volunteers. Going forward, you can see another highlighted pronoun right here. So this was a comment she made about YouTube adding pronouns to your about section. So she says this, gotta notice that YouTube added pronouns to their creator profiles. I am glad that as a part Italian, my preferred pronoun of A is available in the initial drop. Again, evidence that she is too dangerous to be a part of this convention. Here's another one where she says, they didn't say other than the pic related, it happened a day after a post I made on pronoun people infecting some anime wiki. So basically she was identifying pronoun people as responsible for falsely and mass flagging her Twitter account to the point where she was deemed ineligible for ad revenue sharing, a pretty serious thing on Twitter. And honestly, knowing the totality of those circumstances, her observations are pretty fair to say the least. And also, she would directly call out one of the screenshots provided that we're going to look at next, where she said, the second screenshot is literally me giving the definition for acronyms. What? Like, I didn't even make that up. It's on Google, where the director replies saying, yeah, I get it, but it was basically to show a general attitude of disdain for it all. And I get that. You're entitled to your free speech and thoughts on the matter. Very much respect that. And here's the screenshot. Now, in the screenshot provided by the volunteers, this part right here is cropped out. It only shows her response, which even the response without context is fair. But this person asked a question based on another tweet saying, what even is 2SLGBTQI+++? And Kirsche would respond with the actual definition provided by Google. She was answering a question that was about an acronym where she found the information on Google. She was just giving what Google was providing, but this is somehow hateful or dismissive of these sorts of things. And here's another screenshot that was provided as proof, of course. Whoa. Interacting with an undesirable like Sam Hyde, lock her up, put a scarlet letter A on her for the rest of her life. We all know that this harmless reply was something that was only featured because it included Sam Hyde. I think that's very obvious. People from California are the types of volunteers offended by her pronoun jokes would definitely be very offended by someone like Sam Hyde and the fact that Kirsche made a simple reply to one of his tweets. And here's another one that was provided as evidence, where she calls out DEI initiatives, where in one tweet and a video that she provided, Tim Pool was basically celebrating that DEI initiatives were allegedly dead, that they're being defeated, where she says, hold on, there's even greater threats out there that you shouldn't be ignoring, like Bridge, which is another very, very big DEI initiative, something we talked about on this channel about a month ago. This is a very serious issue where these DEI initiatives are supposed to be ingrained in every aspect of your life. As the directors of this initiative say, it should be blasted at you nonstop until these initiatives become a part of your DNA and you don't even question it anymore. That seems a bit ridiculous. So I think her criticism of that is fair and a part of free speech, by the way. But going forward, there would be a lot of conversation about the process of running this convention and a lot of basically arguing over semantics and also the size of the convention and how having a volunteer staff makes things more complicated. But I think what is most important down here is Kirsche simply asking, from the screenshots you have shown, I have done nothing wrong and said nothing hateful. You said there was more complaints besides the tweets, so I'm curious as to what those were. And we would really never get an answer to that. So we move on to this next section where Kirsche would say, I would like to think that unless the person in question has done something actually terrible, like calls for violence against a person or a group, dox someone, assault someone, groom someone underage, that any volunteer could just ignore someone they don't like existing. I shouldn't have to have opportunities sacrificed in my career, nor should my friends' time, effort, and planning get mucked up because someone didn't like a few tweets that I sent. Tweets that aren't even hateful, much less something genuinely bad or illegal. There are people I don't like, and I wouldn't seek to harm their prospects. And Lysander would reply saying, so this one is a lot harder to speak on, as I am not exactly qualified, but I'll try. From your point of view and your perspective, a lot of what you are saying are harmless jokes, a jab, asking questions and dismissing ridiculous ideas or concepts, but from someone who's closer to that community or is part of that community that you are making those jokes about, see it very much more than just jokes. It does feel hostile because generally it is one of those snowball effects that can quickly turn into something more. This is one of those political points that is exhausting. Either side of this debate will rarely see the other point side and as close to a valid argument, like trying to have a debate about abortion or something. I don't think you'll see what they mean, but the general discourse that you tend to contribute to is very worrying to them. You know, very worrying, like making your pronouns Burger Queen on Discord. So now this next section is pretty heavily censored, and for good reason, to respect the privacy of some other guests and also to not drag in unnecessary people, but they're being used in these DMs as examples where Kirsche would mention someone who's also been attacked by people who have attempted to remove her from this event as well for X, Y, and Z, and those reasons are similar or even worse than what Kirsche is being punished for. However, that situation was treated very differently than how Kirsche is being treated. And of course, down here, Kirsche would mention, I hope that mentioning this person to you will have no negative repercussions for her. She's only mentioning this whole thing because she has defended her in the past, and there's a great disparity of how these two parties are being treated, where Lysander says that they're not even going to bring this other person up to their staff because it would be too upsetting for them right now, which is very interesting. But moving on to this next section, again, I'm going to have to do some censoring myself to protect some of the people mentioned. But basically, there is this person who is brought up as an example of someone who was attacked for similar reasons in last year's OffKai, where people were trying to get them deplatformed and removed. However, in that case last year, the event staff rallied behind this VTuber and defended them and made sure that they were going to continue on as a guest. Now, very similar circumstances happen this year involving Kirsche, but the opposite result happens where she is thrown under the bus to protect the interests and feelings of these volunteers who appear to have way too much influence in the decision-making involving guests featured at OffKai this year. And then they're just kind of arguing some semantics here, nothing super important in this section, but they eventually come to a head and realize that this is not going anywhere anymore, and they've made their opinions known, and that's going to do it for this conversation. And when I saw these DMs before Kirsche's stream even went live yesterday, I had already made up my mind. Me and my wife, as guests through a third party, would not be attending unless Kirsche would be, once again, re-invited and unblacklisted from OffKai. But very soon after this, it seems obvious that at the moment, she's not coming back. And at the very least, even if she did come back, I don't really know if me or my wife would want to come back to OffKai after everything that's happened. The way they have treated people unfairly, like Kirsche, it's not something I want to support, and I will take the sacrifice of removing myself from this situation because it's something that I believe in. It aligns with my principles. I cannot, based on my own principles, support an event that will blacklist someone for what Kirsche has been blacklisted for. It's completely unfair, and if someone who I don't agree with personally was blacklisted for unfair reasons like Kirsche would, I would still defend them too. I would have the exact same approach because what they're doing is not fair. Now, overall, my tweet has been met with an overwhelming amount of positive support, but there are some people saying that basically we all deserve to be removed. And this tweet right here, this quote, really sums up the manufactured outrage that is surrounding this situation. So you have a VTuber here saying, she was blacklisted for a reason. If you stand with her, you don't deserve to attend either. Now, of course, it's a privilege to be at a convention like this, but it's also a privilege for conventions to have content creators who want to spend their time and show up and participate. And I am choosing to walk away because I believe what is happening to Kirsche is that unfair and that against my morals that I am willing to walk away from it. Now, if you want to see what artificial support looks like, this tweet has 14 likes. Now, if you go to the likes, you can see that the VTuber themselves liked their own tweet, and then you'll see a variation of the name Yua in all of these likes. So Yua right here, a second Yua, a third Yua, a fourth Yua related account, a fifth Yua related account, a sixth one, a seventh one, and then a VTuber agency that only mentions that same VTuber. So that's 8, and then 9 and 10. 10 out of the 14 likes are from the same pre-debut VTuber. You want to talk about manufactured outrage? This person went on 10 different accounts to like this tweet saying that Kirsche and I don't deserve to be at OffKai. It's that ridiculous. Now, speaking of manufactured outrage, we also have some tweets from the VTuber journalist Ducky. He is someone who is famous for not only supporting the Hogwarts Legacy harassment campaign, but he's also someone who's tried to cancel the VTuber Kyo on many occasions, claiming he's spreading things like libel, for example, with his coverage of VTuber news and drama. And you can see at one point he did have VTuber journalist in his name, and he's also someone who has said that whether you call yourself a journalist or not, if you cover VTuber-related news and drama, you should be held to the same standards as a journalist. Now, since then, Ducky has rebranded. He is no longer a journalist, he is a writer, which doesn't free him of his own standards, I guess, but instead of doing journalism, he now tells VTuber stories. And here's his latest story, saying this: reminder, conventions aren't obligated to give you the spotlight. Much like you're allowed to say whatever you want, they can also choose to not platform that for whatever reason. It's a privilege, not a right. After all that's happened this year, I'm pretty convinced VTubing doesn't deserve OffKai. Everyone is acting like petulant children to try to sway decisions. OffKai isn't perfect, but the community is acting absolutely feral. If you don't like it, go to another convention. You know what? He's right. Like I said earlier, this is a privilege to attend conventions, but it's also a privilege for them to have people like me and Kirsche take time out of our schedule to attend this event, and also, by the way, promote this event and encourage people to come to OffKai. And one thing I want to make clear here too, I had not announced publicly that me or my wife were attending OffKai until just now. So I wasn't gypping anyone from my community. They didn't know about this yet. But now that we've seen everything with Kirsche, yeah, I am not going to give OffKai my support and my time and my community support either. I will leave it up to them if they want to continue supporting OffKai. It's within their right, but they're not going to do it through me. I'm going to let my opinion be known, and I'm going to use my privilege as my position here to say my feelings on the situation and to take a stand against something that I think is wrong. And here we see all of this nonsense about Everyone acting like petulant children. The people acting like petulant children are the volunteers getting upset and literally keyword searching tweets on accounts to be offended by jokes that they know will offend them. They are searching out reasons to be offended. That is childish to me. And of course, as Curry Renji here points out, Ducky is extremely hypocritical on this subject. He is saying that basically OffKai has the right to get rid of whoever they want, when only a few weeks ago they complained about OffKai removing Niji-Sanji EN members, which was a mutual agreement, by the way. This wasn't a one-side blacklisting like it is with Kirsche. That was a mutual agreement, and he said in response he's never been more disappointed with the community because this is all a bunch of tribalism and unfair treatment. Ridiculous. But anyways, that is the situation involving OffKai. Again, it is a very unfortunate situation, and it's something that I wish didn't happen, because I wish I could have just attended this event. I was looking forward to it, but now, no, it's been muddied, and I don't want to support what's going on at OffKai, and I think they have created an infinite amount of trouble for themselves because they couldn't tell a couple of their volunteers no, and they couldn't have them work on different panels. Instead, they caved in. They caved in to the demands of these people, and now they have rewarded this behavior. What kind of a precedent does this set for OffKai and other VTubing and anime conventions, where now there is a precedent out there that if you complain enough about a guest who you're personally offended by, that will get them removed? That is the standard that OffKai is creating, and I will not support it. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, feel free to share all of your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys next time.